Hi, Junior with today's thought, and today I'm going to be talking about something that I meant to talk about it before. I've been meaning to talk about this for a while, but I keep putting it off because of other events that have been happening. But I said today I'm going to do it. No matter what, I'm going to do this one today, get it out of the way. And it has to do with taxes. As you know, the House just passed a resolution, right, for the big, beautiful reconciliation bill that the president prefers, but he'll settle for two separate bills. Don't want to get off into those weeds today. I want to talk about what happens. People, you've heard it said over and over, if the tax cuts are not at least extended, and ideally they should be made permanent, Americans are going to have an enormous tax increase. And I'm going to give you the numbers here because this is everybody. And I'm going to have some thoughts on this in a moment regarding our Democrat friends and why they are the fact that they are opposing extending the tax cuts because, let me just give you the numbers first. Low income tax rate rises 10% to 15%. That would be the poor people that Democrats are supposed to care so much about. Middle income tax rate rises 22% to 25%. Top income tax rate rises 37%, 39.6%. The estate tax exemption shrinks from 13.6 million to 5 million. 20% of small business income deduction ends. So let's start from the bottom, work our way up, and we see 20% of small businesses they're going to lose some deductions. That hurts everybody. If you own a small business, and the main employers in America are small businesses, and of course, big businesses usually start as small businesses. So that's number one. But you look at the top here. I don't know why the Democrats would not be satisfied with this. The top income tax rate will rise 37% to 39.6%. That's a pretty good hefty rise there, I would think. But you look at the low and the middle income people, 10% to 15% for the lowest income, and then 22% to 25%. But this is actually one of the facts that turned me from a Democrat to a Republican, and then, now I'm an independent conservative because I'm not always happy with the Republicans either, though happier with them than with the Democrats, that's for darn sure. But anyways, this is when there's a story told about, and I won't vouch for whether it's true. It makes sense to me, but I'll give you one that is true, but first one, Tom Foley was a Democrat Speaker of the House years and years and years ago, perhaps before many of you were even born, and he was the Democrats, as usual, were opposing a Republican tax rate cut, and one of his staff came to him. Well, here is our argument that we can make. We will say that the rich person will get an extra $1,000, $100,000, whatever, but the low income, the average guy, the average Joe Sixpack, gets only $10. So that should be our argument. And Tom Foley said, no, you can't tell them that. And the staffer said, well, why not? And he said, well, because if you tell people that they could get a $10 tax reduction, they'll say, where's my $10? And that's exactly right. And that's the Democrats' philosophy. They are not about helping poor people. That's what I learned when I voted for Reagan. And that was one of the reasons, because he cut taxes and the economy exploded and everybody benefited, including me, which is why I never went back to the Democrats. That's how much I benefited from Reagan's policies. But the Democrats, they're not about helping poor people. They are about they are about hurting and punishing rich people, successful people. They will oppose any tax. They will not let you have a penny if it means that a wealthy person gets $1. Okay? That's their philosophy. And so they will, so the Republicans, unfortunately, they have such a small, they can only afford to lose, I think, one vote in the House when this package is eventually, the resolution is not the final package. Now it goes to the various committees and they have to work everything out, and then there will be a vote. But they will not, as things are going now, they will not get one vote from a Democrat. And I just gave you the percentages there. That's what will happen. That's what will happen because of Democrats. If the Trump tax cuts are not extended and ideally made permanent. And you have to remember that after the tax cuts were initially, since the tax cuts were initially passed, enacted, tax receipts went up, not down. They talk about how it's going to hurt the deficit, did not go down, went up 40%. So that's, even though, and I can throw in a quote from Barack Obama, because he was specifically asked regarding the capital gains tax, and he said, even if he was asked if a capital gains tax results in more taxes coming into the Treasury, would you? Which is what happened actually when a Democrat, Bill Clinton, worked with Newt Gingrich, worked with the Republicans to reduce the capital gains tax. Okay, Bill Clinton cut the capital gains tax, and receipts went up. And Obama was asked. He said, "Would you, if lowering the capital gains tax rate will result in more revenues, more taxes coming to the government, would you oppose it?" And he said, "Yes, I would oppose it." Why? Because of fairness. Because he doesn't feel, because again, they want to punish rich people, and even though the rich people, they will get fewer taxes because rich people will not invest. In fact, I will give you another story this is a friend of mine going way back, this would be before Reagan, just before Reagan got elected, and taxes were high. This is a friend of mine. He was making a good income, and he said, "Okay, well, I'm taking the rest of the year off." And he made so much money. And I said, "Well, why are you doing that?" And he said, "Well, it doesn't make sense for me to work anymore because the marginal tax rate, the amount of tax that I would pay on any additional income I earn above what I already earn, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to go to work." And another story, Ronald Reagan, talking about Reagan, when he was on a movie set at the time when he was active as an actor, this was in the 50s, the tax rate, the upper tax rate was 90%. Can you believe that? 90%. And he was same thing. After a time, it doesn't make sense to work, to do movies if you're giving away 90% of the additional income. And he looked around at all the crew, how many people, the crew, the cameramen, the gophers, the buffet cooks or whatever. He looked around at all the people, the lighting people, and he said, "How many people will not have jobs, will not be earning incomes if I don't work?" And that's one of the times that was one of the early times when the light bulb went off over his head. And finally the story that I promised you, because this shows you how the true story that I promised you, which shows how hypocritical the Democrats are on the matter of taxes. George Mitchell, Democrat, was a Democrat majority leader in the Senate, and he shepherded through, the Democrats all voted for it, luxury tax, okay, that if you, rich people, if you bought, well, they called it a yacht tax. If you bought a yacht, then you had to pay an extra tax. And he discovered, he was from Maine, he was a senator from Maine. Maine has a substantial boat building industry, which makes sense, right? It's on the coast. And he said, well, what he discovered was this tax increase, it got enacted, and wealthy people stopped buying. They cut back on their yacht purchases, and people in Maine, shipbuilders in Maine, they were losing jobs. And so as soon as he could, the Senate eliminated that tax. So he saw it because people have this idea that wealthy people, because they're so rich, they don't mind being soaked. They don't mind, obviously, they don't mind paying 90% marginal tax rates, but also they don't mind paying more if you put a tax on a yacht. Well, they're rich, they'll just pay it. No, because they don't like being screwed any more than anybody else. They're happy to pay more for value to buy a Rolls Royce instead of a Mazda 3 like I have, or a Honda Civic. Sure, they will pay, but if you put a tax on it, that makes it cost more than they think it's worth. If they feel they're being screwed, heck with it. They just won't buy it, and people will be out of jobs. And that was another, actually, I think it was to George Mitchell, saying that if this a tax reduction went through, a different one, or a tax, that it would hurt, that the rich people would be able to buy a Mercedes, but the poor person would only be able to afford a muffler. And the question was, well, how did the muffler get built? Did somebody build it? Was that person, he had a job, he was getting a salary? So you see how it goes and goes and goes. But the point is that I gave you the numbers, and I'll give them to you again. Okay, we'll end on this. Low income tax rate rises 10% to 15%. Middle income tax rate rises 22% to 25%. Or I'll just make it short for you, the largest tax increase in American history. And if that happens, then you can blame Democrats, because if they don't vote, well, I guess you could blame the Democrats and one Republican in the House, because it would just take one Republican in the House to sink it. But let's hope. Let's hope that they can do it, because, or actually they can lose 2 votes, I think, because there's one guy, Thomas Massey from Kentucky, Republican, who always votes no on everything. So he'll vote no. So I think it's 2 votes they can lose. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is that you better, unless you want, my Democrat friends, my liberal friends, unless you want at least a minimum 10% increase in your taxes, then what can I say? Enjoy. You're paying your 10% more, or if you're middle class, you're 20 to 25% more. And just be happy knowing that wealthy people who can well afford to pay 39% more. It doesn't matter, Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. Doesn't matter. It's not going to matter to him. It's just going to hurt you and me. And that's it. That's my thought for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.